The Val Emmons Show, where freedom is cool and political correctness is for sissies.
Good evening, everyone. It's November 27th, 2013, Thanksgiving Eve. Today I want to focus a little bit on Arkansas politics, as there's a lot to report today in my home state. Not that I'm happy about any of it. To be honest, it's kind of shameful. But if you want to comment on anything, you can look me up on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Val Emmons. You can always send me a tweet at Val Emmons. So we start out tonight with the bizarre Obamacare presentation at UCA in Conway. That's University of Central Arkansas. Breitbart.com reports that a bizarre, sparsely attended Obamacare event took place at the University of Central Arkansas last weekend, in which the organizer emptied a large bag of condoms onto a small table, spilling several on the floor to whoops and giggles. The Weekly Standard's Danielle Halper reports that the event was hosted by a group called the Living Affected Corporation, which he says apparently has received a grant from the federal government to educate the public about Obamacare. According to their mission statement, Living Affected Corp is all about transforming communities to holistic health by providing prevention, education, and advocacy. With an emphasis on prevention, apparently, the organizers told brochurance attendees. This was a presentation for Obamacare. She says, so when you're leaving, you can stop by my table and I'll give you whatever. Condoms. That box has a bunch in it. Anyway, our corporation, and then she goes on to say that, that she's waiting on her dental dams and female condom order that still hasn't come in. And if you ever need condoms, let me know because we have thousands. Boxes of Magnums. We get Magnums a lot. So here's the prize table. All right, so I want to play this for you, and I want you to hear it. You can also find it on my Facebook page if you want to actually see the video. It's absolutely insane, if you ask me. I think that our tax dollars are going towards giving people grants of this nature. So let's listen.
14 tax return. You put down you don't have health insurance. $95 per adult. Yeah, for the first year, for 2014. Then it goes up to 2 or 3 something. By the time 2016 gets around, it's about $600 an adult. And it'll be 50% of that for each child. It's not covered.
She's dumping out condoms now.
And if anyone wants a paper application, just look at, just look at or to take with them or whatever. I have those as well. So when you're leaving, you can stop by my table and I'll give you whatever condoms. Especially that box has a bunch in it anyway. And these, our corporation, LA Corp, these things that I passed around have our number on them to our office. If you ever need, and I'm waiting on my dental dam and female condom order that still hasn't come in. If you ever need condoms, let me know because we have thousands. Boxes of Magnums. We get Magnums a lot. So, here is the price table.
Okay, so basically our tax dollars are going to this grant for Obamacare to hand out condoms. This is absolutely insane. This next story is even more insane. So in other Arkansas news, the Pulaski County Quorum Court, which is where I live, this is my county, Little Rock is in Pulaski County, gave themselves a bonus last night. Former JP and Arkansas State Rep Jim Sorvillo said that this has been an ongoing issue that will not be resolved until the people speak with their vote. He says, my question to you is, can you give yourself a bonus? then why can a representative of the people be able to do that? During my time in the Quorum Court, I voted against the members of the Quorum Court, voting on giving them a bonus. After the measure was passed, I did not accept the bonus. I know 4 other members that choose not to accept the bonus. The Quorum Court members are paid to perform their duties, not to vote themselves a bonus on the backs of the people they serve. This is why our citizens have no confidence in the people that are elected, and I believe the citizens are justified in believing that our elected officials on the Quorum Court are self-serving. The Quorum Court members that voted for their own raises were mostly Democrats. In fact, from what I'm hearing, they're all Democrats. I haven't looked at the actual roll yet, but there was a motion made by Justice Shane Stacks to exclude JPs from the bonus altogether, but only Republican JPs voted to approve the motion, and Democrats voted to approve the bonuses. When I asked Justice of the Peace Tyler Denton, who is my JP I live in the Heights and Hillcrest area of Little Rock, when I asked him if he thought it was a conflict of interest today to vote on a bonus for the members of the Quorum Court, he said yes, and that 2 weeks ago he had opted out of receiving the bonus. The problem is, he then said there was no way not to vote for the Quorum Court bonus because the members are county employees. He has not responded to a follow-up post in my thread from JP candidate Belinda Harris-Ritter reminding him that Shane Stacks made a motion to exclude the Quorum Court from receiving the bonuses. Belinda said that only the Republican members voted to exclude the Quorum Court from receiving the bonus. Why didn't Tyler Denton vote to exclude the Quorum Court from receiving the bonuses, since he believes it's a conflict for them to vote themselves this extra money? So we'll keep you posted on this story, and just a reminder, Tyler Denton is a Democrat. And let's see. I also asked him about our roads, because if you live in this area, you know that Kavanaugh and Cantrell, University and Cantrell, are treacherous, and these are the most highly traveled roads on a daily basis in this city. And I asked him, if he was going to work with the state and city officials to get our roads fixed. And he lives here. I see him all the time. And I said, Kavanaugh University, and he says, oh, well, what road, what intersections are you talking about? I just said to him, really? I need to tell you this? You drive these roads every day. If it's not obvious to you, why are you our JP? What are you doing for us? Besides voting for people raises. Our tax dollars. Our tax dollars, folks. Oh, it's sickening. Not to mention, this weekend, there may be a door-to-door, I'll give you more information on it, but if you can look it up, Kenny Wallace is actually coordinating a door-to-door event where we go out and leave flyers to let folks know to not vote to spend millions more dollars renovating Robinson Center Music Hall downtown. I think there'll be more information on that coming, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. Look up Kenny Wallace's Facebook page, and you may be able to find more information on that. So, moving along tonight, the Arkansas Project reports U.S. Senator Mark Pryor's latest campaign attack ad against his challenger, Congressman Tom Cotton, is full of hysterics and scare tactics. The kind we've come accustomed to from national Democrats, but more interesting than the ad itself is what Pryor's campaign said about it after it was released. So let's listen to the ad first, and then you've probably heard it already, but let's listen to it, and then we will say
Some
what that
politicians like Tom Cotton voted to cut Social Security.
Should Social Security be privatized?
Turn Medicare into a voucher system.
Contributions for a voucher system.
And raise the age of eligibility to 70.
would hurt seniors.
Not Mark Pryor.
Mark's working to make Social Security and Medicare stronger.
By cutting billions in waste.
More doctor visits.
Free preventive care.
And lower prescription costs.
I'm Mark Pryor. I sponsor this message because cutting waste and fraud is responsible, but cutting benefits isn't.
So, Pryor's campaign told the Times Record that the advertisement that began airing was directed not at the retirement age, but at the benefit losses that would accumulate for seniors. So, the Pryor campaign's official position, according to the Arkansas Project, after releasing an ad that is titled 70 and pings Cotton for voting to raise the retirement age to 70 for people who are not currently on the program, is that, well, the ad wasn't really about raising the retirement age, it's about cutting benefits. And the Arkansas Project asks, why might the Pryor campaign attempt to deflect attention away from the issue of raising the retirement age? They believe it's because, not too long ago, Pryor had pretty much the exact same position. In this 2011 interview, Pryor himself said, it's very, very fixable. Probably the biggest change would be is you would take my kids' generation teenagers today, and life expectancy is longer, etc., and probably say that they couldn't get Social Security, they turned 68 or 69. If you just did that one change, you'd fix about 80% of it right there. Shorter version, in 2011, Mark Pryor says, we should raise the retirement age by a few years because people are living longer and the program is approaching insolvency. In 2013, Mark Pryor said, Tom Cotton wants to raise the retirement age by a few years. How irresponsible. You see, slightly raising the retirement age used to be an easy solution that would allow us to fix Social Security next week if we wanted to, according to Pryor. But now it's an unforgivable sin and a trick by evil conservatives. Mark Pryor has told some pretty big whoppers in his day and had some pretty big flip-flops, but this one may take the cake. Nice reporting at the Arkansas Project, guys, as I couldn't have said it better myself. Check them out at arkansasproject.com. And they got some good scoops, a lot of good stuff, got a lot of good stories over there. So Mike Huckabee's radio show is done. If you should happen to care, his show is ending. Now, I only care because I know what will happen next, and no way in hell will I support or vote for this guy to be my president. Thanks, but no thanks. So Politico reports that the Mike Huckabee radio show, which was heard 3 hours a day on over 200 radio stations across the country since April of 2012, will conclude its run at the end of the final show on Thursday, December 12th. Huckabee wrote on Facebook, I have loved doing the Mike Huckabee show, and its success of going from a launch to over 200 stations in less than 2 years is significant. But the contract was at a decision point for both Cumulus Media and me, and we mutually agreed to conclude. The show, nationally syndicated by Cumulus Media Networks, debuted in April 2012 and aired weekdays from noon to 3 p.m. Huckabee, who is also a Fox News host, competed in the time slot against the number one talker in the country, Rush Limbaugh. I have opportunities in some other areas that cannot be accomplished given the 8 to 9 hours a day I was devoting to the daily long-form show, Huckabee wrote. In the original development of the show, I set out to develop a talk show that focused on civil discourse and complicated topics as well as human events and stories from the entertainment world. I feel we have done that and done it well. As for the new endeavors at this time, it would be best for me to say, stay tuned. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what's quite frightening. So later on Wednesday afternoon, Huckabee told listeners the news. We were at a point in the contract that I have had with Cumulus where it was a sort of a crossroads, and mutual agreement decided maybe it's time to go separate ways. Yeah, I had that too, Huckabee, so I totally get that part. Huckabee said on his radio show, not because I didn't love doing the show, but because I did. But, there were just some things going on in terms of unmet expectations that I feel like, given the time, I've got to devote sometimes more 8 to 9 hours a day. That's keeping me from doing some other projects and pursuing some endeavors that I'm going to be pursuing in the future. That's all I can say about that. 8 to 9 hours a day, dude? It doesn't take me 8 to 9 hours a day to do a 3-hour show. I mean, I've done 3-hour shows on the Dave Ellswick Show all the time. In fact, if you know where to find the scoops, it doesn't take that long at all. The news comes just 2 days after Cumulus Media announced Geraldo Rivera's radio show would lose national syndication in 2014 and would be retooled as a local New York City program. Huckabee added that the end of his weekly radio show does not in any way affect the Huckabee Report. My 3 times daily commentary, which is now heard on over 500 radio stations and continues to grow. It will remain without interruption and grow in the future. Earlier this year, Huckabee, a 2008 Republican presidential candidate, discussed potentially calling it quits on the airwaves. Now, if you know politics and you know radio or television, in order to run for any sort of campaign, you have to relinquish your on-air radio show. You cannot do that. To me, it's stupid because if that's your job and you make money off of it, you should be able to continue to do it. But they don't want you to have a voice when other candidates do not. And I think that the other candidates have things that they are good at and skills that they are good at that you may not be good at. And if you're good at being a talk show host and that's your skill, I personally believe it's crap that you have to quit doing it. That's just my opinion. Anyway, within not that I'm saying Huckabee was good at it. Anyway, within the next month, Huckabee says he'll decide if he wants to continue or not. He says he knows he will, but it's just an incredibly intensive process that he really has to decide if he wants to spend that kind of time. He told Arkansas Business in May that he I've got to always weigh how much time I'm putting in and what in return is, how long it will take to make it what I call hopefully disgustingly profitable. That's what one always hopes for in a deal like this. See, Huckabee, I do this because I like doing it. I do this not to make a profit, but because I like informing the listeners. That's the difference between folks like you and folks like me. Anyway, Huckabee, meanwhile, has not ruled out a possible 2016 presidential bid. In September, for instance, he told Politico he had been informally chatting with people, and on November 7th, Huckabee again addressed potentially running after his guest CNN's Jake Tapper asked him if he was ever going to run again. No, I've not said that. I'm not going to run again, Huckabee replied. I'm not being coy, I'm just keeping my options open. Oh, I hope he does not run because, well, I don't know. It'll be fun for me if he does. I'll tear him alive. I'll eat him alive. I got a lot of stuff that I know about Mr. Huckabee. Anyway, so we can't do the show without giving you an Obamacare update. It seems as though there is a delay or change or screw up every day. So they're keeping me full of material. The Obama administration today announced a one-year delay of an online enrollment for small businesses looking to purchase health coverage through the federal Obamacare exchanges. Another high-profile setback for healthcare.gov. It's the second delay for online small business enrollment, which the administration had said would begin this month. So whenever they tell you that you'll be getting your surgery this month, folks, don't expect it. Maybe expect a delay in that surgery. Maybe till you're dead. Who knows? The White House is trying to get the troubled enrollment website on track for individuals and families seeking coverage, which is a higher priority. It's set this Saturday, November 30th, as a target date for getting healthcare.gov working for the vast majority of users on a holiday. The delay of the small business exchanges comes as a little surprise, as the administration had said earlier this week it would offer alternative ways for small businesses to enroll. Still, it undercuts the White House's message that it's the beginning to turn around the disastrous rollout of the healthcare.law.gov. So why not just give everybody a delay? Why just small businesses? Why not just give everyone a delay? Why not just freaking repeal this bill altogether? We're wasting so many taxpayer dollars to roll out a healthcare bill that's going to get repealed anyway. It's such a waste. Such a waste. The administration is focused on its goal of signing up to 7 million people through Obamacare exchanges through the individual marketplaces. Don't see it happening. Good luck with that. That doesn't count on, we're at 100,000 right now, folks. That doesn't count on small businesses enrollment, which is why Obamacare critics and advocates say the small business exchanges known as SHOP, S-H-O-P, are further down on the administration's priority list. The announcement just before Thanksgiving is the latest in a series of delays and miscalculations for the president's signature domestic legislation. On July 2nd, also just before the holiday, it delayed the employer mandate for a year. Small businesses with fewer than 50 workers are exempt from the requirement to cover them, and the exchanges are supposed to give more options to those that choose to offer coverage. House Speaker John Boehner said the delay is more proof that the law should be repealed or delayed. See, told you. I like John Boehner. Guy's awesome. I wish I could see him running for president. Just throwing that out there. The president bit off more than he could chew with this health care law, and small businesses are now forced to bear the consequences, he said in a statement. Small businesses have been able to apply for exchange coverage by paper application since October 1st. HHS on Wednesday announced they will have additional ways of enrolling on SHOP, including going through an agent or broker or directly through an insurer. Again, the agent gets commission, I'm so sure. They're finding more and more ways to prove my great healthcare swindle theory, aren't they? They're just funneling all these people through insurance agents who make commissions. How interesting is that? We've concluded that we can best serve small employers by continuing this offline process while we concentrate on both creating a smoothly functioning online experience. I'll believe that when I see it. Sorry, that was my witch laugh, but that's just smooth functioning. Nothing is smooth functioning in the government. What have you ever done with the government that is smooth functioning? Anyway, and adding key new features including an employee choice option and a premium aggregation services by November 2014, according to an HHS notice issued Wednesday afternoon. Those two features are supposed to give workers more choice of health plans rather than having the business owner select coverage for employees. Those two were put on hold earlier this year, as it became too complicated for the October 1st launch. The administration originally delayed online enrollment in the federal-run small business exchanges just days before the failed October 1st launch of healthcare.gov. At the time, HHS said online enrollment would be available sometime in November. Sometime. Your surgery will be sometime. Sometime over the next year. We won't tell you when, but it'll be sometime. That's what we have to look forward to with our healthcare folks. Anyway, so now this function won't be supposed to be ready this November, won't be ready now until next year. I'm dying here, Doc. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Your surgery didn't go as planned. Now you'll have to wait till next year. Yeah. The latest delay applies only to the federal-run shop exchanges in almost 36 states, with a few exceptions. Shops and states running their own exchanges have had smoother rollout. Imagine that. Small Businesses Majority, a group that supports the healthcare law, called today's announcement disappointing. You supported this, and now you're calling it disappointing. You voted for it. You voted for it, assholes. Take it. But said the exchanges still offer a competitive marketplace to shop for coverage. It is not competitive. Have you checked out the Arkansas marketplace? No way, shape, or form is it affordable. It's disappointing that the online portion of the federal small business marketplace through healthcare.gov will be delayed, and it's important it get up and running as soon as possible, Small Business Majority CEO John Arensmeyer said in a statement. However, it doesn't change the fact that the marketplace can offer the most competitive combination of price and quality for small business purchasing healthcare. House Small Business Committee Chairman Sam Graves said it's been apparent for months that the small business enrollment website hasn't been ready to launch, or wasn't going to launch on time. Based on the June GAO report on shops' readiness that he requested, he says that we knew their administration was not prepared for the implementation, but this pattern of continued delay and disarray is especially disappointing. Graves said, this mismanagement and inadequacy is causing the American people and small business owners to lose trust in their government's ability to do just about anything. I lost faith in it a long time ago. This is why I knew this was a bad deal to begin with. Employers, like individuals, will have until December 23rd to purchase coverage that takes effect January 1st, HHS said on Wednesday. Employers can enroll at any point in that year, though, while the 2014 open enrollment period for individuals is scheduled to end March 31st. HHS also said it would launch an improved comparison shopping feature for small businesses on December 1st, the administration's target date for better functioning healthcare.gov. December of 2014 is what it'll be. Anyway, moving on along, last but not least, the Obama administration proposed new rules on Tuesday to rein in tax-exempt groups that have transformed the U.S. political landscape in recent years by harnessing hundreds of millions of dollars in anonymous donations to influence elections. Reuters reports the proposal would alter definitions in the tax code that allow limited campaign and fundraising activities by the tax-exempt groups, some of which have been at the center of allegations that the Internal Revenue Service targeted conservative Tea Party groups for extra scrutiny. These tax-exempt social welfare groups, organized under Section 501c4 of the tax code, mushroomed after a 2010 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that relaxed campaign finance rules. Part of their appeal is that the groups do not have to disclose the identities of their donors as long as they spend less than half their time and money on political activities. So critics of this say the relaxed rules have opened the door to the abuse of campaign finance rules meant to curb the influence of wealthy donors in U.S. politics. The proposed rules do not address other tax-exempt fundraisers such as labor unions and business organizations such as the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which are classified as 501c6 tax-exempt organizations and can also raise and spend political money anonymously. Imagine that. We're not going to put these restrictions on, folks that give us money. Of course not. The fact that the administration's new effort only affects social welfare organizations and not powerful unions or business groups underscores that this is a crass political effort by the administration to get what political advantage they can, when they can, said Representative Darrell Issa, California Republican. Some of the biggest spenders in the last election also expressed outrage at the proposal. Americans for Tax Reform, a nonprofit that spent about $14 million in efforts to oppose Democrats in 2012 elections, according to the Center for Responsive Politics, said the Obama administration was aiming to hurt conservatives at the polls. We expect the constitutionality of such a rule would be immediately challenged on solid grounds, said a spokesman for the group, which is led by anti-tax activist Grover Norquist. Campaign finance watchdog groups that have pushed for tighter restrictions said the news was welcome development of an agency that has done little over the last years to close a loophole that has been widely exploited in recent elections. Paul S. Ryan, senior counsel at the Campaign Legal Center, called the announcement a very positive development. The devil, of course, will be in the details, he added. So, U.S. government officials have struggled for years to determine what qualifies as political activity. The proposed rules would more clearly define candidate-related political activity, but also look for public comment about how much political spending these groups should be allowed to do. The proposed rules introduce several bright line tests that would determine when the 501c4 is doing too much campaigning activity and is violating its tax-exempt status. Among these new definitions, advertising that names a candidate 60 days before a general election would count as political activity. Certain contributions that can now be made anonymous by these groups may need to be reported. Any voter guides that refer to a candidate would be considered political activity. Also, any event within 60 days of a general election at which a candidate appears as part of the program would be a political event. So if you have a speaker and he happens to be a candidate for election, you have to count that. He has to count that. That's just crazy as political activity. For your group, you have to count that. For your group. So say that we held a summit and, okay, for instance, Belinda Harris-Ritter. Well, these are federal, but if it were on the state level, it'd be like Belinda Harris-Ritter being on, who's running for Justice of the Peace over in Maumelle, that area, here in Little Rock area. And it would be like her being on there to speak to something that isn't even relevant to her campaign, but yet the group that is having her speak has to write that down, that they include that in political activity just because her name was on the agenda. That's insane to me. This proposed guidance is a first critical step towards creating clear-cut definitions of political activity by social welfare organizations. Mark Messier, Treasury Assistant Secretary for Tax Policy, said in a statement. Wow. Proposed rules which limit activity within 2 months of a vote may have a limited impact in today's political landscape when the next campaign begins as soon as the last one ends. The rules, for example, would not have stopped the blitz of negative ads from liberal groups in last year's presidential race that painted Mitt Romney as a heartless plutocrat shortly after he secured the Republican nomination. I'm telling you, we'd be in much better shape right now if he was president. The rules do not apply to another type of tax-exempt political group, so-called super PACs, that accept unlimited donations, unlike social welfare groups. Super PACs must disclose donors and may not give money directly to candidates. Anonymous spending has ballooned from $5 million in 2004 to $311 million last year, according to the Center for Responsive Politics, accounting for nearly $1 in $3 spent. While they cannot give money directly to a candidate, social welfare groups can run ads or get out the vote drives. They can also pass on money to other outside groups like super PACs that face fewer restrictions on their activities. So I see that's going to be happening a lot. I foresee that. There's always a loophole, folks. Some organizations take advantage of both sets of tax laws. Republican strategist Karl Rove's American Crossroads Super PAC, for example, spent $105 million to boost conservative candidates in last year's election. Its sister social welfare group, Crossroads GPS, spent an additional $189 million raised from anonymous donors, while American Crossroads spent nearly all of its money on the election. Crossroads GPS steered only $74 million to election activity. It gave another $35 million to other conservative groups. A spokesman for both groups declined to comment. That's all the time I have for this evening, guys. I may do a special tomorrow. It's it's going to be Thursday, Black Friday night, rolling into Friday morning, so I may do a live special tonight. I'm not sure yet on how I feel, but I'll be doing something tomorrow, so stay tuned. Have a great Thanksgiving. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.